2 weeks ago, my life took a dramatic turn that still feels surreal. I never imagined I'd be writing this, but here we are. I overheard something that shattered everything I thought I knew about my marriage. It all started when my wife hosted a girls' night at our place. I hadn't planned on interrupting, but a work dinner got canceled last minute, and I decided to sneak in through the garage to avoid disturbing the gathering. As I passed by the living room, I could hear their conversation, and it was impossible not to overhear. One of her friends asked, "So, what are you telling him after the final payment next month?" My wife laughed, and her response made my blood run cold. "Once the student loans are gone, I'm free." I froze in my tracks. We'd been married for 4 years, and for the past 2, I'd been helping her pay off a staggering $887,000 in student loans from grad school. Our agreement was simple. I'd cover the living expenses while she used her salary to pay off the loans, and I would make the final lump sum payment of $32,000 to clear the debt completely. That was the plan. But the words I heard next cut deep. Another friend commented, "Isn't that kind of cold?" To which my wife responded, "Please, he's a stepping stone, nothing more. Nice and stable, but boring as hell." I always planned to upgrade once my finances were straight. They all giggled, and one of them added, "Savage." Then another friend mentioned, "I've already been talking to Jake again. As soon as the loans are cleared, I'm out. I found an apartment and everything." It felt like I'd been sucker punched in the gut. I quietly slipped out of the house, drove around aimlessly for hours, and eventually returned, pretending everything was fine while I was crumbling inside. The next morning, I made a series of decisions that would change everything. I called my bank to cancel the final $32,000 payment and then contacted a divorce attorney. The legal advice I received was a silver lining. Since we'd only been married for 4 years, and her student loans were from before our marriage, they weren't my responsibility. What I'd paid up until that point was considered a gift, not a financial obligation. Over the next 2 weeks, I went into stealth mode. I opened a new bank account, transferred my savings, and found a rental property. Thankfully, we kept separate accounts. I also meticulously documented every single loan payment I'd made. The day the final payment was due, I made sure everything was in place. I packed up my essentials and moved into my new place while she was at work. When she came home, I was waiting for her with a folder in hand. "Hey babe, how was work?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. "Just checked, and your loan payment didn't go through." "Weird, right?" Her face went pale. "It should have processed," she said, clearly flustered. I replied, "I thought so too, until I remembered something about stepping stones and upgrading and Jake." She froze. "I can explain," she started, but I cut her off. "No need," I said, sliding the divorce papers across the table. "I've already moved out. You can keep the furniture, but I've documented every payment I've made toward your loans. They're still your responsibility, just like they always were." Her face crumbled, and the tears started flowing. She tried to say it was just drunk talk, but it was too late. The look of realization as she understood her debt was still there, and I was gone, was one I'll never forget. Now, a week later, things have only gotten more complicated. My phone has been blowing up with texts and calls from her and her family. I've ignored most of them but read the texts. Her messages are a mix of desperation and anger. "I didn't mean it," she wrote. "How dare you spy on me? Please come back. You're ruining my life." Her mom called me 16 times, trying to guilt-trip me, saying marriages take work, and that everyone says things they don't mean. Then one of her friends, the same one who'd asked if what my wife was doing was cold, messaged me on Facebook, confessing that it wasn't just drunken chatter. My wife had been planning this for months, and was already seeing someone named Jake on the side. The friend couldn't confirm whether they were physically involved, but there was definitely emotional cheating going on. On top of that, she revealed my wife had a countdown calendar on her phone labeled Freedom Fund, tracking exactly how much she needed to get from me before she could be free to start a new life with Jake. It hit me. I was literally financing their getaway. I protected myself financially by removing her from all our joint accounts, but she still managed to drain $3,200 before I caught it. Small price to pay for the freedom I've gained. I met with my divorce attorney again, and everything is looking straightforward. For years of marriage, no kids, separate finances, should make things easier. I've provided documentation for all the payments I made toward her debt over the past 2 years, totaling around $41,000, plus the planned $32,000. It's clear these were voluntary contributions, not obligations. My wife eventually sent me a more calculated email, admitting her words were inexcusable, but still insisted that it wasn't what she meant. In the same breath, she complained about being stranded with her massive debt, but I'm done. It's not my problem anymore. In the past week, I've been reconnecting with friends I lost touch with during the marriage. This weekend, the guys are coming over to help furnish my new place, and I'm officially closing the door on this chapter of my life. It's been a strange mix of hurt, anger, and unexpected relief. Still, I'm oddly calm amidst the storm, knowing I've taken the necessary steps to protect myself. The weirdest part is just how much I've learned about who she really is, and I'm thankful to be moving forward, free from the lies. It's been a month since I filed for divorce, and I can't help but feel relieved, almost like I dodged a nuclear missile by discovering the truth before wasting any more years with someone who saw me as nothing more than a walking ATM. Life is slowly finding its new rhythm, and the divorce is progressing without any major complications. There was a meeting with both attorneys, and I was surprised at how civil everything went. My wife seemed completely defeated, and her lawyer tried to argue that I had established a pattern of paying off her loans, so I should be obligated to continue. But that argument quickly crumbled when my attorney brought up the recording. I'd forgotten to mention it earlier, but after a break-in at my office last year, I had installed security cameras. The cameras captured the entire conversation where she called me a stepping stone. This was 100% legal in our state, as it was my home office. Once that evidence came to light, their whole strategy shifted. The settlement was simple. We're keeping our own retirement accounts, personal belongings, and we're splitting the joint account, though she already emptied it. I'm keeping my pre-marriage investments, and most importantly, her loans remain 100% her responsibility. The fallout with our friends has been predictable. Some chose sides immediately, while others wanted to hear my version of events after learning the truth, especially after hearing the recording. Most have supported me. Her family, on the other hand, thinks I'm the villain for abandoning her with debt, conveniently forgetting that it was always her debt, and she was planning to leave me once she'd paid it off. I ran into Jake at a coffee shop, and it was beyond awkward. His face said it all. He had realized that he wasn't going to get an easy, debt-free ride after all. He mumbled something about misunderstandings and bolted. As for my ex, she tried to play the hardship card with her loan servicer. They put her on an income-based repayment plan, but the payments are still massive, given her salary. She's been telling everyone that I trapped her and got her into debt, completely rewriting history. On a more positive note, I unexpectedly reconnected with an old college friend who moved here last year, and we've been hanging out regularly. It's so refreshing to be with someone who actually enjoys my company instead of seeing me as a walking wallet. Mentally, I'm doing a lot better, too. I started therapy and joined a hiking group to get out of my head on weekends. One of the most satisfying moments came when I got screenshots of my wife whining in a group chat with her friends. She was complaining about how she had to downgrade her lifestyle because of her loan payments. One of her friends replied, "Maybe you shouldn't have called your husband a stepping stone." My ex rage quit the chat immediately. Looking back, I'm grateful I found out the truth before I made that final $32,000 payment. Sometimes the trash takes itself out, even if it tries to grab your wallet on the way. Now, 6 months post-divorce, I'm closing this chapter for good. The divorce was finalized last month, and it's been a clean break. No alimony, no lingering connections. It's as though the years of marriage were erased with a single signature. The judge actually complimented both attorneys for how smoothly everything went, though I'm sure the recording helped with that. Financially, I'm back on track. I got promoted at work, and I'm pouring myself into my job as a great distraction. My temporary rental is now permanent, and honestly, it's better than our old place. It's closer to downtown with killer river views. Meanwhile, my ex's grand plans have turned into a dumpster fire. Jake stuck around just long enough to realize she wasn't escaping her financial hole before suddenly claiming he wasn't ready for a commitment. Shocking. She ended up downsizing to a crappy apartment and picked up weekend work to help pay off her loans. Recently, she got denied for refinancing due to her terrible debt-to-income ratio. The irony is almost too much to bear. If she had actually meant those vows, her loans would have been gone by now, and we'd probably be house hunting. Instead, she's living like a broke college student at 30. Some of her friends jumped ship after seeing her true colors, and the one who messaged me to apologize now has lunch with me from time to time, keeping me updated on the fallout. Apparently, my ex tried to spin some BS about me being financially abusive. But that narrative quickly fell apart when this friend reminded everyone about the stepping stone conversation they had all witnessed. The friendship with my college friend has blossomed into something more. We're taking it slow, but it's amazing how different it feels to be with someone who actually values me, not just my wallet. She insists on splitting everything 50-50 and listens to me when I talk, unlike my ex, who used to scroll through Instagram while I tried to have a conversation. I even ran into my ex's mom at the grocery store last week. Instead of the death glare I expected, she just looked tired and said, she made her choices. It was strangely peaceful, almost like closure. Looking back, the red flags were everywhere. The constant comments about friends with rich partners, the subtle digs about my safe career choices, and the way her affection always seemed to grow whenever I helped with her finances. In total, I contributed $73,000 to her loans, which ultimately taught me an invaluable life lesson about who deserves a place in my life. To everyone who supported me through this, thank you. If anyone is in a similar situation, remember, being alone is far better than being with someone who sees you as a stepping stone. And now, with this chapter officially closed, I'm looking forward to what comes next, something much better.